Welcome to the Inglorious Blasters podcast, a Star Wars Legion podcast talking anything and everything glorious or inglorious about the game. My name is Corey, and with me today is John and Brendan. How's it going, my friends? No insults today? Thanks for picking up my slack last week.
Man, we call him out on insulting us, and he starts being nice to us. I don't like it.
It actually caught me off guard. I was already prepared with my comeback, and then when you said something nice, then I was just like, I just blankly stared into the camera.
I was not ready at all for that. No.
Gotta keep you on your toes. This is the calm before the storm. You know, like the real insults are coming later.
You're just going to throw it in there mid-cast in the middle of a sentence and just like, you guys suck.
Yeah, you womp rats. Alrighty, so today on the podcast, we got some quick tournament recaps that we went to, Brendan and I. And then we're going to do our Glorious versus Inglorious segment. We got Deathtroopers this time. Brendan took Glorious, and then John took Inglorious, and I'll be the judge of that. And then we got some general PAX excitement talk. Stick around, should be a good one. Brendan, how about you talk about your recent tournament that you went to?
Yeah, so I recently went to a tournament at Huzzah Hobbies outside of D.C. It was a really great tournament. The terrain there was great. A lot of the same tables we saw from the Nova Open, including a couple new ones. So really, really good tables to play on, and it was a good turnout. 15 people. A little disappointing that there was an uneven number, and there were a good number of people who called out that day. Otherwise, we would have hit 20, which would have been really fun, but oh well. It was great. I had 3 good games. Luckily, did not get a bye. And so just talk about my list and then what I ended up playing for the games. So I played a 10-act Imperial list, 788, with an Imperial officer with improvised orders and electro-binoculars. Operative Darth Vader with burst of speed, force push, seize the initiative, and into the fray. Din Djarin with up close and personal, comms jammer, Mando's jetpack, and Beskar spear. 2 shore troopers with T-21B troopers, 2 mortars, and 3 sniper strike teams.
The comms jammer. I like it.
Yep. It didn't really come into play much, unfortunately, except for my last game. My last game, it came into more play. But, so my first game, I was up against a new player. He said he'd only played about 5 games beforehand, and he was playing a Rex Padme double bark list with a mix of phase 1s and phase 2s in there. We ended up playing key positions and long march, and I think it was clear conditions. I gave myself going into this tournament 1 goal, and that was to use Darkness Descends to actually infiltrate Vader in at least 2 of my 3 games. So I infiltrated Vader in this game. So at the end of turn 1, Vader basically gets close, but not close enough to his army. But Vader also got to be the last activation, and he got close enough to be range 2 to do a force throw at some people. But that was about it. Start of turn 2, I actually play Implacable, and I burst of speed Vader in, and Vader immediately kills Rex in 1 swing. But then Vader is open to a fire support shot from 2 squads with Z6s. Vader took whatever that ridiculous number of dice was, 22 dice or something?
Probably 20, 10 and 10.
Yeah, whatever it was. I think they might have had some extra guys in those squads.
Oh, that's, yeah.
And I had 1 dodge, so that worked out pretty well. the fire support with all that dice ended up only getting 8 hits, I think. And I dodged one away. Vader ended up taking 3 wounds, but doing 2 back. So, all right, not bad. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I then pull from my bag. I don't get Vader, so I use improvised orders and pull again, and I get Vader.
There you go. We're in business, baby.
So Vader gets to be my first and second activation. So Vader moves, because he's still got burst of speed, he moves into an unactivated squad, swings, one-shots them, and then he force pushes one of the clone squads that fire supported into him, and now he's bubble wrapped and safe for the rest of the turn.
And now he's buried. Yeah. That's gross. Good job.
Yeah, it was
Buried
disgusting.
the rest of the game.
Yeah. My opponent conceded by the end of turn 4, at which point I think he had 2 squads, a clone commander, and Padme still alive. And I hadn't lost any activations. I felt bad for him, but he was a great opponent. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. Second game, I was up against a very thematic list, and my opponent was also a newer player. He said he'd only had about 10 games under his belt, but man, he had one of the most beautifully painted armies I have ever seen. And it was a themed list for Rogue One. So, Jyn, Cassian, K2, 2 squads of Pathfinders. But he also had some 1 squad of Rebel vets in there, 1 sniper squad, and a Mark II. We ended up playing, I think it was Moisture Vaps on that one. And with all that infiltrate, I did not infiltrate Vader. So, I did not use Darkness Descends that game. And I was red on this game. Despite my bid. He outbid me. It was like a 20-point bid, which was pretty ridiculous. This game went a while until there was this building in the middle of the map, and he had most of his army hiding behind it. But we were playing supply drop, and so Vader got some scalability and went right over the building and down into his troops. Once that happened, yeah, things kind of turned around. End of the game, he had Cassian and K2 left because they were just on top of a building that I had no chance of getting to. So
Vader like shakes his fist at them.
pretty much. I mean, they were like height 3 up in the air, so Vader's might wasn't even going to be enough to get them down.
No.
But yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. Nice to see a good thematic list and a lot of good dice rolls for his defense. He had put his Mark II on the center building, and it took me like 4 turns of panicking it to finally kill it because it just wouldn't leave the top of the building because it couldn't.
That's great.
But that was lots of fun. So at this point, I'm 2-0, and we get to game 3. And game 3, I'm up against a Blizzard Force list, but not the big scary boogeyman one that everybody talks about with Vader and 4 bikes. This one was a Veer's triple bike ATST, and I was red player again, so I didn't get to use my deck. So we actually ended up on Long March and Breakthrough and Clear Conditions. As I said, looking at my list doesn't want to move. And his list was definitely built for it. Mm-hmm. I completely forgot about Overwhelming Barrage. And I lost 2 strike teams on the first activation of the game.
Ouch.
That is rough.
I did infiltrate Vader again this game. All right.
On Long March, yeah, for sure.
On Long March, I definitely did. Luckily, despite that misplay, he moved up close enough, moving his stormtroopers up, that Vader was able to burst of speed, and force push and get wrapped up by his heavy response unit. So he was already in the lines at the end of turn 1, which is a huge help.
Interesting. Nice.
Turn 2, I threw a real wrench in his plans with Master of Evil, and now everybody's really slow. Because suppression is everywhere. And by the end of that turn, Din has joined Vader in the same squad of heavy response storms, because Vader at no point felt safe enough to just kill them and move on to somebody else.
How'd you move that fast? This is Long March, right?
Yeah, I infiltrated with Vader, and I mean, Din's already speed 3 the whole game, so...
Does it
and he
only
can jump
take
over
Din
things.
2 turns in order to get to them on Long March?
Yeah,
I think he might...
You're 36 inches apart, and Din would move 16 inches with a double move. So 2 turns. If he moved up,
okay.
you could essentially quadruple move.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. So you got your 2 big melee threats right there.
Yeah. So it ends up being a little bit of a ridiculous slugfest with all of the rest of my units staying in my deployment zone and just shooting anything that comes too close. And Din and Vader trying to just kill things and slowly move up the board. Turn 6 comes around, and I think I'm able to score with Din and Vader. I know I can score with Din. Vader's a question mark. But he's got a number of units that are about to score. I got real lucky and was able to kill his last remaining speeder bike. And he got a single snow trooper into base contact with my officer. And my officer was able to roll the 1 punch necessary to kill the snow trooper. And and Vader did enough to slow down his officer from being able to score. But in the end, I only was able to score Mando on breakthrough. And the only unit that I never shot at was scored for my opponent, which was the ATST.
I was going to say it's the ATST, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So at the end of the game, I still had my officer, 1 unit of shore troopers, 1 scout striker team, Vader, and Mando, and he had his officer and the ATST. So I won on points.
What was the ATST doing that entire game? Was it just move shooting?
Most of it was move shooting.
It had to have if it was Long March, right?
Yeah, it was mostly move shooting.
They're pretty easy.
Yeah, and it double moved turn 5 to then try and kill some stuff, on the last turn also. But I had being down 2 activations from the start, I really thought I had no chance. But Vader and Din were able to do a little bit of work in the lines and stay alive, and Din was able to score. So
their backs are hurting from that carry. Yep.
Yep. So ultimately, I got second place in the tournament because of strength of schedule. Just the tiebreaker. There were 2 3-0s, and I unfortunately ended up being the lower of the 2. But it was a great time. Had a lot of fun.
Nice. Well done.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Vader is a one-man army. If you do not have force push,
he certainly can be. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that has been the trend I've faced in a lot of my games, is not having an opposing force user to deal with.
Yeah. Force push is one hell of a drug, honestly. Yeah, it's just super good. And then
all of Vader's
Vader
command
just
cards
becomes
are
like
a hell of a drug.
Like a meat blender. Yeah. It's just super good. Like his whole toolkit is like super good, especially on Op Vader.
Yeah.
Op Vader can do so much.
It took me a little bit getting used to Op Vader again, because I've been playing Commander Vader for a while. Man, I miss Vigilance.
Yeah, Vigilance is definitely a good one. I think I'd grown to like Op more, solely due to the fact that you could do the force throw, like the relentless force throw, and then you get so many shenanigans off that one. Right, you can Vader's might off of that, and all that stuff's good.
Oh yeah, Op Vader is a whole different beast compared to Commander Vader. It's so fun to have two different flavors of the same character.
Oh yeah,
And they're both good, but in slightly different ways.
agreed.
Must be nice. I'd like to just have an additional character in Gar. You got
What are you
two
talking about?
of
You
the
got
same
three
guy.
Jedi.
Isn't it great
got-
that Rebels are getting Ahsoka first?
I know, just to pour salt in the wound.
Yeah. I mean, she'll come eventually. Don't worry.
2024.
Eventually.
Soon. Hashtag soon.
Be even funnier if they're just hiding her and she's actually just coming out the day after Rebel Ahsoka.
Oh my god. That'd be a nice surprise, honestly.
That would be.
That'd be nice. Cool. So yeah, I was actually able to go to a tournament myself. I didn't think I would make this one, so I was out visiting some family. I kind of had like some extra hours to kill. I'm like, hey, are we doing anything here? Like, because like there's a tournament going on, and I said it jokingly to my wife, and she's like, no, we're not doing anything. Do you want to play? I was like, is this a real? Is that real? Then yes. So I was like, sweet. So I got to play at Shipwreck Games in Forked River, New Jersey. So it was a lot of fun, and so I didn't really have a lot of time to prepare, and I didn't want to bring Blizzard Force, but like I did because it was like the thing that's already packed in my bag and ready to go. So I was like, I guess I'll bring this. This is fine. This is fine. So for those of you that don't know, the list, it is a generic officer with Imperial. Yes, the Imperial officer with improvised orders. That's the one. And then it's Operative Vader with push, choke, tenacity, and into the fray. And then it's 2 snowtroopers. One of them has a medic. And then 2 stormtrooper heavy response units with the 2 range 4 guns. That's the DLT-19 and the RT whatever gun. I think it's 97C.
I believe that is it.
No, yeah, magic numbers. And then 4 speeder bikes without any upgrades. So yeah, like I'm gonna be blue. That's 17 points for those 17-point bid for those keeping track at home. So I show up and I'm ready to play. And so this is like a nice like local community that they had. Everyone's nice and friendly, and here I come barging in. I'm like, hey, I'm playing Blizzard Force, ready to go.
Did you say that they had a nice, pleasant?
Yeah,
they
had a nice place. Yep. I was like, let me show you guys what.
Here comes the Soul Stomper.
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
I kept saying sorry. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm having a nice time. Thank you for letting me come play at your store. Mainly it was funny because like they were talking to me and they're like, what's this objective? And I was like, oh man, I feel so bad. This is hostage exchange. And I tried to point it out on a couple times. I'm like, hey, like, please don't let me have this. And they're like, no, I haven't played it, so I kind of want to play. I'm like, okay, I'll show you.
Oh no.
But no, I mean, they were all good sports, honestly. Yeah, like all of them were really, really nice. And like that was a nice store, and they play like, I think it's every Wednesday they play, and then they have tournaments every now and then. So if you guys are interested, I would check them out on their Facebook page. So this is the tournament I actually got to face a lot of Din and IG-88. IG-88 is actually really scary. When he plays that one card that allows him to, I forget the name, but it's the one where it's your opponent cannot spend any green tokens on the bounty target. I think it's the 1-pip, right?
Yeah, focused on the kill.
That's the one. Focused on the kill. That's a great card. In my second game hanging out at that tournament, I played against a double bounty list. It was Din and then IG-88, along with like some Deathtroopers and Shore Trooper backup, right? And Din had gone in on Vader early, and then I just blocked all of the hits. I was like, that was a lucky roll for me, so sorry. My force pushed Din out, and then the rest of my units obliterated Din. As I'm like slowly creeping Vader out, I didn't really say the objective, but it's hostage exchange, and I've grabbed his hostage. So like Vader's now bullying his hostage, and of course I feel bad about that. But then here comes IG-88 with like the craziest range 3-shot ever. So it's like I think I went down to like no cover, I think, or it was heavy down to light, and then it was like 5 crits or something, right? So I was like, great, cool.
Damn.
I can't spend any tokens. Vader had like 2 surges, maybe 3 from Into the Fray, and I was like, okay, I should be able to block some of this. No, I rolled 2 surges, just 2 surges. I couldn't spend them. So Vader was in trouble, and he had taken some other shots, and he got to like a low effective wound count. So I was like, well, at least Vader did his job, right? He got his hostage away from him. I think that's a good sacrifice of points.
Yeah.
But yeah, like basically my takeaways from hanging out with them is IG-8 is scary dude. Those bounty targets should definitely be afraid. Like not being able to spend my dodge or surges really hurts. But yeah, if anyone else is in the area, go check them out. Check out their socials and stuff like that. Shipwreck Games.
How many people were in the tournament?
It was like a smaller count. A couple of people that were gonna go got sick, unfortunately. So they did the correct thing and not show up and get everyone else sick. And right, so shout outs to them. So it was, I think, 6 total.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so very low player count, but it was still fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. How about you guys say we get on to the Glorious versus Inglorious segment?
Right
Sounds
on.
good.
All right, let's do it. So for those of you that don't know, this is our Glorious versus Inglorious segment. So what that means is a unit good or is a unit bad? And we have 2 opposing sides. John is going to take Inglorious, and then Brendan is going to take Glorious. I'll be the judge of their points, so they're going to bring up about, like 3 talking points, and then we're going to figure it out. And I'm going to be as impartial as possible. Even though I've played Deathtroopers in the past, and they obliterated stuff in the past, I have not played them in a very long time. So this should be interesting.
I haven't seen either of you play them, ever. I'll put that...
This was like a long time ago. Like, when I'll put an exact number on it. It was it was a PAX tournament. I think it was the second PAX tournament at Unplugged. And I was playing like, what is his name? Krennic Bosk, Shore Trooper, Gunline, plus like 1 or 2 Death Troopers. That's how long.
So 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get into the debate, we'll remind people on Death Trooper stats. So Death Troopers are Empire, Special Forces, 4 people in a squad with 1 health, 2 courage, red surging defense dice. They also surge to attack. They have multiple weapons to choose from. They have their E11D blaster rifle, range 1 to 3 with a black die. Their SE14 light blaster, range 1 to 2, 2 white dice. And close quarters combat, which is a red die. They are 72 points, and they have the following unique upgrades. The DLT-19D Trooper for 34 points. Range 1 to 4, 2 red and a white with impact 1. DTF-16, which is 15 points. She's a unique trooper. Has a gun range 1 to 3, which is a black and a white die. 2 health. Becomes the leader of your squad and also has the compel keyword. And as a reminder, compel means after another friendly unit at range 1 to 2 rallies, if it's suppressed but not panicked, it can gain a suppression token to perform a free move action. And then the last unique upgrade is the E11D config. It has 2 options. One is the focused fire config, range 1 to 4, single black die. It has reconfigure and suppressive. So reconfigure, when you recover, you may flip this card, and it is expendable. The other side of it, from reconfiguring, is the grenade launcher. It's range 1 to 2, red die, and Blast, which ignores cover, and it also has Reconfigure, and it's expendable. Lastly, they can also take a training upgrade, a comms upgrade, a gear upgrade, and a grenade upgrade. They can take a lot.
Cool. Thanks for that quick rundown. Who wants to go first?
We'll let John go first.
You want me to go? Thank you, sir.
John, take this one.
All
Take
right.
this one away.
Just to be clear, this debate is taking place in 2022, not 2019, when they were last
darn.
good. And so anyway, I will go through my list of points here. So number one, extremely expensive. They're 106 points base before you start giving upgrades to them. If you're taking the range 4 gun, which I pretty much think you always do. So comparatively speaking, offensively, Shores at 84 points, a T-21 at 66 points, or Pikes at 64 points, all have the same or better offensive output as the Deathtroopers for significantly less points. You do lose out on the Courage 2 that you would have from Deathtroopers. So just for the sake of argument, I threw in an Imperial officer to the Shores and T-21, as well as a Pike Capo. Then they become 101 for the Shores, 83 for the T-21, and 80 for the Pikes. All less expensive to the Deathtroopers. They now have Courage 2, and now their offensive output is even higher because of the extra man. Deathtroopers have no access to critical, like you would see from Shores or T-21s. So just offensively, they don't have the output that they once had in 2019 when they truly were really scary. Defensively, they really have no access to dodges. Brendan, why are you raising your hand?
I realized I left 3. I forgot to read 3 things on their card.
Oh, fire away.
They also have Disciplined 1, Precise 2, and Ready 1. Disciplined 1, they get an order. They can remove suppression. Precise 2, they get to roll an extra 2 dice with aims. So they roll 4 dice. And Ready 1, if they take a standby, they get an aim. All right. Continue, John. You were making good points.
Cool. Thank you, sir. I was like, are you objecting and doing it politely by raising your hand?
No. I just realized I messed up. So
no, you're good.
I need to make sure we got
your
those points
hand
out.
might have been up. I'm going through like a sheet that I made, so I was. I just happened to see out of the corner of my eye. I was like, "Oh, your hand's raised." Cool. So defensively, they really have no access to dodges. And Empire, they're primarily handing out aims, not dodges. So you're not really going to get a lot of defensive dodges. They also don't have impervious like you'd see for Arcs or Mandos, which makes them extremely vulnerable to Pierce. So defensively, they're a little bit better than the other options because of the surge block, but at the end of the day, for a unit that cost 106 points, that then puts them in line with Arcs and Mandos. Mandos have Nimble, they've got surge block as well, but they also have impervious, same with Arc Troopers. Pretty much anytime you take Deathtroopers, you're going to take Krennic, which I think Krennic is so-so. Like, Cunning is obviously nice, his 2-pip is amazing, but other than that, he pretty much does nothing. Or I guess he can serve as a compel bot. So when you add up Krennic and the Deathtroopers, you're now at 200 points. Who else is 200 points in the Imperial faction? Vader of either flavor. So I think he's going to obviously... Yeah,
Palpatine.
Yeah, Palpatine. So, I mean, when you start to see, like, man, I'm spending the points I'd be spending on a Vader or Palpatine, and I'm getting Deathtroopers and Krennic, that's kind of why I think he gets buried down at the bottom of the list. And if you weren't taking Krennic, you might as well just take a Bounty Hunter, because Bosk, IG-88, Boba, they're all within striking distance of the Deathtrooper cost point, especially when you start adding in upgrades. I think that is the extent of it. So for those reasons, I'm saying Inglorious. Brendan, off to you.
Strong arguments coming out. Brendan, how are you going to handle this?
Unprepared. That's what I'm going to handle. All right.
I love it.
So firstly, As I like to do with any unit, let's take a look at them in canon and how thematic they are. First of all, Deathtroopers are the coolest looking Stormtrooper variant.
Agreed.
I mean, they are covered in black armor and intimidating, and we rarely, if ever, actually hear their real voices because they use encrypted comms over their stuff to make them even scarier. On the table, they also, at a glance, look very scary. I mean, they can do a lot. Looking at just their card, and surging both ways with red dice for defense is a thing that we rarely ever see. I can only think of Palpatine and Yoda. I think are the only other red surging defense units.
I think you're right.
So
Mandos,
the fact
right?
that they, some Mandalorians.
Oh yeah, any Mando.
I don't know if the Shadow Collective ones do. They do. They don't surge to offense, do they? Yeah, that's it. Yes. Unlike the rest of them, the Death Troopers do hurt from not having impervious or immune pierce. So pierce is definitely an issue. There is an alternative to having to deal with pierce, and it's called don't get in range of a pierce shot or be visible. So, Death Troopers don't always have to be a big contributor in the main battle. They've got a range 4 suppressive gun available to them. You could literally just have them stay back at range 4 and hand out extra suppression, at a whopping 72 points. If you put nothing else on them. A naked Death Trooper squad in the back line is not what most people are probably going to be focusing on. So they have that ability. In a Krennic list, you're going to take one, period. End of story. Because for a measly 5 extra points, you can get an order out to whatever you need within range 2 of them every turn, as long as they're close enough to Krennic to get the entourage. Which is huge, especially if you're running Shore Troopers, because then you can get 2 orders out for free every turn, one to the Shore Troopers and one to the Mortar. And we all know that Shore Troopers love getting their free aim from target. Again, you mentioned Krennic's 2-pip. These guys were designed to take advantage of his 2-pip. Granted, you have to play them right to be able to use the standbys that you get from Krennic's 2-pip, because you give these guys the standbys, they're then getting free aims. And at range 1 to 2, if you've given them a free aim and the standby, if you're not using their grenade config and you do have the DLT, they're throwing 11 dice at range 2. Surging to hit if it's a full squad. If you want to go down to 10, you can then use the grenade launcher config and have it be blast. And they're just going to murder something with enough dice at that range. Is it a little difficult to get them there? Sure. But if you build enough other threats in your army, people aren't going to pay as much attention to them. Again, they can do a lot. I personally think that DTF is the better heavy upgrade, because with just DTF and a comms relay, this squad is now 92 points and has 6 health rather than 5, or the 4 without an extra upgrade. And that can make a huge difference, because DTF is only 15 points for 2 extra health in a squad with surging red defense that can give out extra suppression at range 4, or if you get too close, blast people and throw a bunch of white dice with red dice or black dice, whatever dice you want. Pick your color. They use them all, except for white defense, because those are garbage.
Throw them in the bin.
Right? I mean, a DTF with the comms relay, and if you also want to make the most use out of Krennic's standby card, throw Overwatch on there, you're only at 96 points to really take advantage, at least for one Death Trooper squad. Ultimately, I don't see using Deathtroopers in a list with like Vader or Palpatine, because, as John noted, they are expensive. But if you're doing Krennic, you're definitely running one. And the fun thing is, and I can't say it's a good list, but it's hella fun, is with Entourage and Krennic, you can technically run 4 squads of Death Troopers in an army. It just seems really fun. Sure, you're going to start shooting one of them, but then you have to deal with 3 more. I mean...
Yeah.
And...
That's gross.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
Even if you don't put heavies on the other squads, imagine 4 units shooting you at range 4 with suppressive guns. Your army's not going to move unless you're droids.
It's a fair point.
Especially if you throw any other suppressive weapons in there, because you've probably got mortars. If there's points, you might throw in Bosk. I mean, it's just Suppression City at range.
It's 2019 all over again.
Exactly.
You got Bosk, you got Shores, you got Death Troopers.
If there's anything I've learned, even in today's meta, people don't suspect a suppression list. People don't build for it or build to deal with it. So it's a sneaky way to get in there. Because every time I play Vader and I'm Master of Evil people, they go, oh, I guess I'm not doing anything with these units right now.
It's always a great card. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And, I mean, you just hit a couple units with, a couple mortars, a couple shots with Death Troopers from range. All of a sudden, with 3 shots, that unit's now got 6 suppression. Yeah, that thing is probably gonna panic. There is not enough as Inspire in most armies to deal with that. So it's really fun to just shoot something and make it panic.
Yeah, I agree. So I kind of want to throw one quick comparison. I know, gasp. The judge says something. So I think in a Iden tack strike list, is there any value in adding Imperial Death Troopers, like a one of?
I think certainly, because there is no bigger die pool for special forces in the Empire, unless you want to. No, period. If you can get them to range 2 for the shot, there is no bigger die pool. And with all those aims, it's going to be ridiculous.
Because every time I look at Iden, I'm like, I could add some Death Troopers for like some beefiness, like instead of like an Inferno squad or
A Special Forces squad,
Imperial Special Forces, right? Yeah, I keep looking at that because every time I played Imperial Special Forces, I never rolled surge tokens to actually use the surge.
So here's a good one for you, Corey. Imperial Special Forces just with the T-21 is 95 points, where the Death Troopers with DTF, Overwatch, and Comms Relay is at 96. So you've got the extra health, and you've got the Overwatch ability. I mean, if we were going to do a real comparison with offensive push for the two, Death Troopers with DTF and offensive push, we'll get rid of the Comms Relay, is 91 points, while the Special Forces with the T-21 and offensive push is 99.
Okay, there you go. It's a little bit cheaper. John, you got anything to say about that?
No, I would just make one additional point.
That's fair. Go ahead.
I feel like they really struggle in today's meta. And all of and I'm referencing like the Luke DLT spam with the Vigilance, and then the obvious one being Pikes, where they're going to be loaded with dodges. And then everybody that's trying to counter that meta play, they're doing high velocity snipers, which they're a natural predator to Death Troopers. So either you're going to run into Pikes and just not be able to kill them, or you're going to run into the person who's teching against Pikes and DLT spam with a ton of high velocity range 5 Pierce. High velocity kind of irrelevant. They're not going to have dodges, but the Pierce aspect on a very expensive juicy unit without impervious or anything that's going to mitigate that. They just that's almost like what pushed them out of the meta, I feel like, in 2019, right? Like, it's just the rise of all the snipers, and then Deathtroopers kind of fizzled, I feel like, after that, because they're just too easy to pick apart.
So from what I remember, like, from my brief memory of it, people took a lot of medics, like, just to heal back specifically Deathtrooper wounds, because, like, that's how valuable they were in the matchups. And then if your sniper didn't die, and, you know, then you were healing your Deathtroopers after your opponent shot them. That's effectively what it was.
Yeah.
I think other stuff pushed out Deathtroopers than snipers.
Yeah, I mean, I'll fully admit snipers are the best counter to Deathtroopers. But what I have to say to the Pikes is suppression. They can't deal with it. So
yeah,
they might be getting some range 4 shots, but you throw enough suppression on Pikes, it doesn't matter how many dodges they have.
Yeah, this is a fact. Cool. Well, I think I have enough for my judgment. I say that, but I'm still going back and forth. I want these guys to be so good. I mean, they were like absolute monsters when they came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people were like up in arms. They were like, these are too good. This is gross. This is what did they call it? This is power creep.
Yeah.
Right? How dare they put power creep?
Well, now they've been power creeped, so that's pretty much
yeah, basically.
Yeah, to put it into perspective for the listeners, they used to be 76 point space. Now they're 72 point space. Their armament gun used to be 8 points. It's now free. DTF used to be 22 points. She's now 15. The only thing that hasn't changed is the DLT 19, which is still 34 points.
Right, because that's definitely the better gun, right? Like, if you're adding that to the die pool, it makes them
it's
way
a
more
huge
consistent at
impact.
range 4.
Pun intended.
So, yeah, I was going to say pun intended, right? These guys are so close to being like amazing. I don't want to stray anyone from trying these guys out, the Imperial Deathtroopers. I think they're great. They're thematic. I think they might have gotten slightly pushed out, only due to the fact that John said like the one line in this debate that I can't get out of my head, and it was, well, if you're spending this many points on Deathtroopers, why not just take a bounty hunter instead? That will probably do something else or do it better. Maybe not at range 4, but could earn you another victory point, right? It's like, that seems pretty good. Like, that's another good use of your points. Again, like, these guys are so close to being great. I mean, I could quote the Krennic line, but I won't. I feel like they're like an Imperial Swiss Army knife because their weapon profile, they have 3 different weapon profiles, right? Hold on, I lied. 4. Right? They have 4. 4 with the config, right?
Yep.
The armament.
If you want to go up to, you could say up to 5 because the config's got 2 different ones.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. They're literally like, how do you want to play these guys? Like, they're good, but oh my god, I think I'm gonna say Inglorious. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm mainly sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. He knows it. I've never seen him play him one time.
Corey, well, I have played them before, just not in your presence. I think we can make a solid compromise that for now they are Inglorious in anything other than a Krennic list. In a Krennic list, they're a must, just because of the free order.
Yeah,
I agree.
Agreed, for sure. Entourage is huge for them.
Entourage and then the comms relay tech, super good.
Also, the fact that they are one of only 4 special forces that can go up to 4 in a regular army list building. Because Death Troopers, you can go up to 4 because Entourage. Royal Guard, you can go up to 4 because Entourage. And you can go up to 4 Mandos in Shadow Collective.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, hopefully the points adjustment treats them nicely. I would like to see these guys back on the table.
Agreed.
I think they don't need a points adjustment. I think they just need something to deal with Pierce. I'd like to see them get Impervious. I mean, that wouldn't do much to them. Maybe Impervious and add a couple points to their base profile. But, you know, they shouldn't be immune
It would
to
help.
Pierce,
It
obviously.
would be something.
They're supposed to be the big, bad,
Pierce.
scary troopers of the Empire. So I think they need a little something to bring that flavor back.
Well, that's like whenever you saw them in the movies, whenever the Deathtroopers, you know, came into battle, it was like, oh man, it's about to go down, because you knew they were gonna bring the pain, but they definitely don't.
They slaughtered
feel like
those
that.
troopers on the beach. All right, we need to bring that feeling back.
Very much so. I made a list of things that would make them glorious, and the top was adding Impervious. Number 2 was giving them Critical 1. Because, like, critical wasn't even a keyword in the game when they were out. So, like, to have Shores have critical, the T-21 have critical, but, like, Deathtroopers do not have at least, like, critical 1.
I think if you keep that on like
on the range, the big gun.
T-19. Yeah.
Like make it impact
think
1, critical 1.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's
Yeah,
34 points. I was even putting, like, because we have the errata coming, add Impervious, add critical 1 to the gun, drop the gun from 34 to 27 points, and drop the base cost from 72 to 68, so 1 point a model. So the unit would be 95 points with the same stats, but Impervious and critical 1 on the gun. I think that would...
That might be...
They might be...
That's getting a little too good.
I mean, I
What
like
next?
the changes.
Give them jump?
Give them jump 3, Indomitable.
Oh,
64 points a
These are all
squad.
great
Oh,
keywords.
wait, we already have that problem, Pikes. They can do everything. For everyone.
Yeah, that's all good. We just... Again, I just want to see this unit back on the table. Any which way, right? All right, good debate, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Congrats to John again.
Thank you.
Always picking the easy side.
I did.
I know. What a guy. All right, you guys settle on a PAX list? I'm gonna transition over to that.
I actually submitted my PAX list 15 minutes before we jumped on this cast.
Excellent.
I am locked and loaded.
Any spoilies or nah?
What's that?
Good for John.
Do you want to do any spoilies or nah? It's probably gone, right?
Yes, it's Gar. The game uplink thing is pretty cool. You can, like, the new software for submitting lists and basically the replacement for TTO was really cool. I like that you can add a list name. So if you'd like, I will spoil my list name, and that might give you insight into what I am playing.
Go for it.
All right,
if you want.
So the name of the list is Inglorious Marriage.
Ooh.
Oh my god! I hope you win.
Oh.
Excellent.
It just came to me when it said input list name, and I was like, oh, well, Doomed Marriage is like the name of, and I was like, oh man. And I literally chuckled to myself by myself in my basement while I was typing this in. Inglorious Marriage. I was so proud.
Excellent. Brandon, what about you? Are you waffling still, or did you
I'm a
find
little waffly. Just on one upgrade to include or not include, because it will affect my bid. And one upgrade card. Because obviously I'm taking Vader, no surprise there. But that frees me up for a 2-pip, because I'm not bringing new ways to motivate them. And I've got Seize the Initiative on my Vader, so I'm fine with a 2-pip that only gives out one order to another character. I won't say which character I'm bringing. because I just had some fun with Mando, but maybe I'm bringing somebody else. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know.
But
waffles are delicious,
I
though.
know, aren't they? Especially with some whipped cream.
There you go.
But so I'm flip flopping between some 2-pip options. I just don't know which one I like more. Do I like one that's for this character? Do I just bring Push because Push is very versatile in terms of giving out orders when I need it? I don't know. Part of it is if I put this upgrade on, it changes how I might think about some of these command cards. But then I think about timing to play that command card, and I go, is it worth that upgrade if I don't even ever play that card? Because it might not happen. I don't know.
I think I know what character you're referencing.
I lost track.
Well, I was thinking about
so it'll be
which
a surprise.
character would you really want there to pip? Like if you were including them with Vader, and that's when I kind of narrowed it, and I was like, oh yeah. And then when you were talking about the upgrades, I'm like, you definitely need the targeting scopes.
Oh no, I have targeting scopes on this person.
Well, then that confirms what I was thinking.
I mean, I could easily spoil right now, since this is not being released until after lists are submitted. But Corey is also waffling, and I don't want to give him any ideas on what I'm thinking.
All right, well, fine. I will just say it's probably not a surprise. I'll just say it. It's, I'm trying to think of a cool name.
Cold and frosty.
Glorious Blizzard.
I think you got to go.
Frosty.
Brendan, could you name your list with either Inglorious or Glorious in the title?
I don't know. It's too much of a hodgepodge, but I'll think on it. I don't really know if there's a real theme other than the fact that I'm definitely bringing my Vader Santa, who I did use at Huzzah Hobbies, and he was a big hit.
Very nice.
I gave everybody the choice of either regular Vader or Santa Vader. Everybody chose Santa Vader.
All right, do you want the lightsaber or the candy cane?
Exactly. Everybody wanted to be killed by a candy cane.
Oh, man. You can see pictures of that on our Instagram if you go check it out.
As well as some pictures from that tournament.
At SWL Inglorious Blasters. You can also like our page on Facebook. Search for The Inglorious Blasters, a Star Wars Legion podcast. If you want to tell us that our judgment is wrong, ask us a question, or just give us some general smack talk, you can send us an email at swlingloriousblasters@gmail.com. Come check out our Discord as well. It is linked in the podcast description. You should be able to find that and come hang out. But yeah, I'll probably be playing Blizzard Force. It's probably not a surprise. I don't know if we mentioned it in the beginning, but yeah, so there's like a comment on like a random Facebook thread. I think it was an X-Wing community thread too. Yeah, where it was like, hey, when are we getting Legion Point updates? And it's like, oh, coming early December. So yeah, we might. So this is probably the last hurrah for Blizzard Force, if my thinking is correct, because like that list is too good. But yeah, so pretty much I'm like, all right, I painted these. I painted up Blizzard Force so well, I should definitely like go out with a bang with them. So that's what I'll be running. As to the exact specifics, still don't know yet.
I've come up with a name for you. So I looked up synonyms for Blizzard. One of them being Gale, so you could have Glorious Gale.
GG.
No, I mean I love the alliteration, but I might have to hard veto that.
I guess you might have to explain it to people. Like if you said that to me without me knowing or like coming up with that just now, I'd be like, "What?
Yeah,
Why Gale?
Who is Gale?
Who is Gale?"
Oh man. But yeah, if anyone's going to PAX and is listening, so that's maybe a small subsection of people, make sure you show up early to the tournament, right? If you've never been to PAX, the line to get in is usually long. That's my only tip. Just show up early. I think you could start lining up at 8 a.m. I don't think the doors open until 10, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And then basically it's like this giant queue system. So if you want to get in early, I'm sure Nick B would appreciate that. Yeah.
Don't be John last year.
I had to run. I got there at 10 too, but I was behind the 2,000 people that got there before 10.
Yep. Yep. So that's my one quick tip: show up early. You'll thank me later. Additionally,
we have stickers. We will be handing out stickers to people at PAX. So if you are a fan and you come up to us before we hand you a sticker and tell us you love the podcast, we'll give you 2 stickers. Additionally, we are also providing 1 prize in prize support for this tournament. We will not tell you the conditions for winning this prize because we don't want to tinker with how people are playing. But we will be giving away a full token set of our Inglorious Blasters order tokens at PAX. This token set includes all the tokens you'll need to run whatever kind of list you want to run that we know of currently, up to and including having enough heavy tokens to run 2 squads of Dark Troopers when they eventually come out, since we know they'll need double heavy tokens for each squad. So we will be giving that away, but we are not going to tell you the requirements to win that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, come check us out. I'm sure if you'll find us, we'll just hand out stickers. Yeah.
Lots of stickers. I did hand out stickers at Huzzah. They were a big hit with the stickers. People love stickers. People
love stickers. I was just about to say that.
Stickers are great. I love them. All right. Anything else, gentlemen, before we land the ship?
If you lose a game to us at PAX, we get to slap a sticker right on your forehead. That you must.
I don't condone this.
Yell, Inglorious.
And that is how you turn a, I was going to say frown upside down, but they would be smiling, enjoying their time, and then get slapped right in the forehead, and then go, you know what, I don't know if I want to listen to this podcast.
These guys slapped me in the face with a sticker. I don't like that.
Quite the story, though.
Oh, you would always remember that experience.
That's probably a good way for us to get kicked.
Yes.
And just literally assaulting someone with a sticker.
And that would be the last PAX we were at.
Yeah. Rip. All right, gentlemen. Yeah, I think we should land this ship. I'm Corey.
I'm John.
I'm Brendan. Garbled Imperial Deathtrooper speech. I can't make that up.